I'm a bit excited. I think I might have a heart attack during this little review. So let's start with the observations. 6 meters 30. This is what this guy Duplantis jumped. 6 meters 30. New world record. This guy Duplantis is like, I don't know, somebody else, something else, running with a stick in his hand, a flexible stick, but it's still a stick. And he jumps over a bar, a vertical bar, 6 meters 30. The amount of, I don't know, dexterity, flexibility, craziness you have to do the pole vault. Because what do? You take a stick, a very big stick, and a very flexible stick. You put the stick into a hole, then you need to bend the stick and then get the stick to propel you going up. Then you need to do some kind of bad dad dancing in the air, a bit like Cirque du Soleil without the soleil. In the air, turn round, and then just free fall onto this big bed. I would like to know how people thought about this the first time they actually did it. They had the women's heats earlier, and it was exactly the same. The women are jumping around about 4 meters 50. And there was one point in the women's heat. Most are running at a regular speed or a little bit faster. And there was one woman, she was just running as if she was running for a bus with a big pole in her hand. Didn't seem she was making any effort. And then, the funny thing is, she was annoyed that she didn't pass the cut for the heat. But every time she just ran as if she was running for a bus with a big pole in her hand, So today wasn't really that special. I have to admit, in the morning it started off really cool with the marathon. Imagine the marathon. The marathon. And the marathon is like 44 or 42 kilometers long. It's long. And the first 3 finished within 1/10 of a second of each other. It was like a sprint. But also, and this is the great thing about athletics now, the winner was a Tanzania, the second was a German, and the third was Italian, if I remember correctly. I mean, it's just getting so good. As the day went through, I really thought that today wasn't going to be that spectacular. One of the observations was with the steeplechase. This is the 3,000 meter race where they jump over obstacles, and then there's one obstacle with water. Why? I have no idea. And also, those obstacles are really thick, heavy pieces of wood. They can do some damage if you don't get it right. But the anecdote was at the beginning. So the judge calls the people to the line. They're all pushing and trying to find the right position, pushing people out their way. And they're all kind of fighting for a position. So the judge has to kind of stop them, tell them to go back, and then calls them to the line again. He does this twice, okay? They're running 3,000 meters, so it's going to take a bit of time. So they finally get into position after jostling with each other. And then when the gun starts, the first 20 meters, they're running like crazy. And they get to the first curve, and then they just stop. They just slow down. What's the point? All that fighting before. And then they get to the first curve and they just slow down to like my walking pace. Imagine in the World Championships, my walking pace on the track. They get to the first corner and they slow down like as if it was me walking for a bus. So all that kerfuffle at the beginning just to run like crazy for 10 meters and then stroll like me for most of the race. The interesting thing, the winner, imagine the winner was a guy from New Zealand. New Zealand. I mean, he did fly. No, because it's in Tokyo. And Tokyo is closer to New Zealand. So he didn't fly a long way. But I'm telling you, the last 50 meters, he was in about 10th position. And he actually passed everybody and he won by about 5 meters. That was a good race. So I thought today was going to be a little bit so-so. You had some of the semi-finals for the women's 100-meter hurdles. Now, as I understand it, semi-finals means 2, and then you have the final. Apparently, you can also have 3 semi-finals now, and then have 1 final. And in this situation, what happened was the first 2 go through automatically to the final. And then the other 2 places are the fastest losers. The worst thing about it is that they put people in a hot seat. So they have to sit on a chair, on the track, and the cameras are focusing on them all the time. So then when one of the semifinals finishes, the cameras just go straight to these people and then see what the times of the other people were. And if the times of the other people were better, one of those people have to leave. I think that's a little bit cruel. A little bit cruel, to be quite honest. And you just see them sitting there, biting their nails. So that was a bit cruel. Then it picked up a little bit because then they had the final, women's 100-meter hurdles final. And a Swiss, the chocolate people, a Swiss woman won the final. I mean, these last few days, there have been so many different nationalities winning events. It really is great. I still have the 3,000 meters runner in my head with the big teeth. The French guy won the gold medal, but the big teeth are still the thing that stay in my head. Then what else? I did pay attention to sometimes the way people looked. So for example, first of all, hairstyles. The Greek guy who came second is very good. Came second in the pole vaults. He jumped 6 meters 10. But he had one of these kind of like Viking style hairstyles. The sides were shaved, cut very, very short, and then everything was on top. Why? Why? But the best was the guy who came third. He was from New Zealand. No, he was from Australia. And he looked like a 1970s porn star. Okay. I mean, it must have been like 26 or something, but the hair he had and the mustache and the way his virtual demeanor, the way his body was just shaped, he looked like either a 70s porn star, okay, or there was a shop in Britain called C&A. Okay, they still have it here in Valencia, C&A. And there used to be a look of how men used to dress in the 1970s, early 1980s. And he looked exactly like this man. So he was either a C&A model or a 70s porn star. And he came third. So what's happening these days is like everybody is around about the same level now. A Canadian woman, she won the hammer. Yeah, she won the hammer. And there were 2 Chinese who came second. Again, hairstyles. I think somebody needs to talk to some of the other athletes who do the field events, they need to talk to them, because the sprinters, the fast runners, have nice hairstyles. The ones who are participating in the field events, I think they need a little bit of personal grooming or personal styling. I'm not too sure what it's called, but personal styling. Then there was the women's 100 meters hurdles. And this was won by a woman from Switzerland. Switzerland. She beat the Americans. She beat the Africans. She beat the Jamaicans. A woman from Switzerland won the 100 meters hurdles, or the women's 100 meters hurdles. And this is the great thing that's happening in track and field, in athletics now. You really don't know where the superstars are coming from. It is so unpredictable at times, and that's the great thing. The problem is today, the observations weren't that fantastic. People were kind of a little bit boring. Now, in the next few days, we've got things like the 400 meters. We've got the 400 meters with Fenke Bolt and Sydney, whatever her name, the American. We've got 400 meters hurdles, 200 meters final, men's and women. So there's stuff coming up soon, my friends. There's stuff coming up. But I apologize today. There was no super observations, and I will make an effort tomorrow. I will then pay more attention to what's going on. Just on a small anecdote, in the women's 100 meters hurdles final, they did the moves. They did the moves, rocking from side to side. They did the moves. So, my friends, that was it. Nothing really spectacular. The pole vault really was the highlight in the evening, and the marathon was the highlight in the morning. Until tomorrow.